Now, the Spurs finally got a deal done. They finally got De'Aaron Fox. This was a 3-team, trade deal. And the Spurs fleeced the hell out of both teams. The Bulls got fleeced. The Kings got fleeced. The Spurs in this deal, they got De'Aaron Fox. They got Jordan McLaughlin. And it was for Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and only one of their own first-round picks. And the Charlotte 2025 first-round pick is top 14 protected. So that really, the Charlotte Hornets are going to have that first-round pick. The only real valuable first-round pick in that deal is probably the Minnesota one, the Minnesota 2027. And, yeah, the return for the Kings isn't what it should have been for De'Aaron Fox, in my opinion. They didn't get any young players like they should, and the first-round capital they got wasn't suitable for De'Aaron Fox, an all-star player. I think the Spurs get an A+ for this trade because they didn't give up Devin Vassell, they didn't give up Jeremy Shohan, they didn't give up, Keldon Johnson, they didn't have to give up anybody. Stephon Castle, they didn't even give up the 2025 first-round pick from Atlanta that's going to be really high with Jalen Johnson out for the season and them going on a skid, losing the last couple games back-to-back. So that pick's going to be high. The Spurs are positioned perfectly. They can see who fits on this young roster and make moves next offseason. They can see if Keldon Johnson fits with, De'Aaron Fox and Wemby. They can see if Shohan fits with Wemby and Fox. They can see if all these young players fit or who do they have to move. And they have the assets, they have the draft capital still to get a third star to pair with Fox and Wemby. And Fox is going to be a free agent in 2026, I believe. He still has 2 years left on his deal. He's going to extend. He's going to sign an extension with the Spurs in the summer. So he's going to be locked down. Him and Wemby are going to really make the Spurs a dynasty once again. And just having all these young pieces, having all these young talent. The Spurs are showing you exactly how an organization is supposed to handle their superstar. In year 2 already, this is year 2 for Wemby. They got him Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, who's actually been underrated this season, shooting 40% from 3, been a really good defender this year. And you get Stephon Castle, really good player. Now you add De'Aaron Fox to the mix. Now you have the flexibility, the opportunity to get another star in free agency in the offseason. This team is like the 12th seed right now in the West standings. They're going to be in the play-in at the very least. They're adding a running mate for Wemby that's 25 points per game, 27 years old, fastest point guard in the NBA. He's going to be pushing the pace. He's going to be pushing in transition. He's going to be attacking the rim, and Wemby's going to be at the three-point line ready to catch. Them kickouts to Wemby, going to be insane. The pick and roll between Wemby and De'Aaron Fox is going to be insane. This team's going to be tough to stop. And Fox is Swiper Fox for a reason. He's going to be getting steals. He's going to be a frisky defender. He's going to be getting after other guards, opposing guards. And he's going to take the pressure off of Wemby in the fourth quarter, in the crunch time, in the clutch time. He's going to show up big. He did it in the sample size with the Kings in the playoffs. Their short little stint they had in the playoffs. But yeah, Fox, this was like the best decision he could have made for his career, and him making this decision in short notice really affected the Kings getting their return, but I'm sure there was a bunch of better offers for Fox. You didn't get any good young players back. De'Aaron Fox gives the Spurs stability, and he gives them another guy that's going to match offensive scoring that Wemby puts up. They both can put up 30 points per game now. Wemby's had some crazy performances offensively this season. Fox is going to be able to match that consistently too. Chris Paul is still in the building too, so he'll be able to help Fox take his game to the next level. Another all-star guard Chris Paul's going to play with, so his impact will be felt on De'Aaron Fox and help him be a better leader and help him, lead this team with Wemby. So this is how an organization runs things. This is how it's supposed to be done. And hopefully Greg Popovich comes back to coach this team. But the Spurs, the future is bright. And this postseason, they could get really scary. They could be really scary for any team that they could potentially face in the play-in. And if they get into the playoffs against OKC, that's a matchup nightmare. That's a first-round nightmare for OKC if they had to face Wemby, Fox, Chris Paul. I wouldn't be surprised if that series went 7 games. And I'm really excited to see Wemby in the playoffs. I'm really excited to see Fox in the playoffs once again. Him get his opportunity to redeem himself for the loss he had with the Sacramento Kings against the Warriors. Him banging up his wrist or his hand. I know he's itching to get back there. And this destination, the Spurs, gives him the best opportunity for his career and to win the championship potentially down the road, because the Spurs can get really scary, for real. For the Chicago Bulls side of things, you trade away Zach LaVine. It looked like he had no value whatsoever. You weren't going to get any return. You were going to even have to give up your own picks to get Zach LaVine off your hands on another roster. But they found a partner. They got into this deal with De'Aaron Fox, sending him to the Spurs, and they get Zach Collins back, Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter. Decent return, and you get your first round pick. You get control over it. If the Bulls would have finished 10th worst in the standings, they would have had that pick regardless, but still get control of your pick. So I'm gonna be a little happy about that. I'm gonna thumbs it up. But this return is still disappointing. Zach Collins, he's just going to be depth. If you move Vooch, Zach Collins and Jalen Smith will be your depth, your front court rotation. Trey Jones might not play that much for us. Let's be honest. I mean, it would have been a good move when we had our last roster constructed, a good backup point guard. But right now, our depth at guard it's fully loaded. It's overfilled. Some of these guys got to go. Javon Carter's probably going to get traded. Lonzo Ball's probably going to get traded. A lot of those guys are going to get traded just to make room, because we don't have enough roster spots for these three guys, and Kevin Huerter coming in the mix too. So really the only one to feel okay about is Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter will be a good floor spacer for Io and Josh Giddey, so I'm excited about that, I guess. Good three-point shooter too. He's having a down year this year, and he's going to be on the roster next 2 seasons because he's got a player option next year, $17 million, so he's going to pick that up, especially with the down year he's having. He's going to stay with the Bulls. This is a guy we wanted for 2 years too. So hopefully a change of scenery improves his play. Hopefully in a new spot, with different players around him, in a different scheme. He has, he reaches the ceiling. He gets back to that 40% from three, being one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Hopefully that happens. Other than that, this trade, there's not too much to be excited about that, other than Kevin Huerter and getting control of your first-round pick back. Now it's time to get Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey, one of those two. But you have to be bad. And I think the Bulls trading LaVine is, no matter how bad the return is, that's accepting the fate of, we're trying to be bad, we're trying to rebuild this thing, we're trying to, get one of those top guys in the draft. If that's the case, I'm excited about that. I'm happy about that. Finally making that decision. I don't know how much I trust AK in this front office to get things right and to do a successful rebuild, because just what they've done, how they manage their assets, getting no first-round picks in any of the trades for DeRozan, Caruso, LaVine, our three best players that we had. Like the three players you're expected to get the most return from. No first-round picks. Giddey for Caruso when OKC has 20 first-round picks is insane. DeRozan, no first-round picks for him. And yeah, LaVine, getting rid of him when he was an all-star caliber player this season. 24 points per game, shooting 40% from three, and 50% from the field. He was playing at an elite level, playing at the level we expect Zach LaVine to play, and really still got no return for him. Really. Disappointing. The Bulls right now, it's going to get ugly for this team. Without Zach LaVine, right now we're a playing team at best, but without Zach LaVine, without Vooch, without these players that are good, it's going to get really ugly. The games are going to be tough to watch. But that's the direction we want to go in. We want to at least have a direction. Now the Bulls have that direction. I think there does need to be some change, though, after the season. AK needs to get fired. Need to change some things in this front office. I don't know how confident I am in Billy Donovan. Kind of been in a fuck situation. Played a little bit part in that too. But yeah, Matas Buzelis. Give him some more minutes. Clear out some of these old heads, these unks. Give Matas Buzelis starting minutes, because when he gets 20 plus minutes, he's out there making plays. He's a highlight reel. He has the athleticism. He has the traits to be a really good defender, and just a highlight reel. Dunking, a nice crossover made the defender fall in that dunk. Like this guy has some really good talent to him, and I'm excited to see what he can be, but he can't reach that ceiling. He can't get to that next level if we're giving him 10 minutes a game. So Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, I want to see those guys get more minutes. So with trading these players, getting rid of these veterans, getting some decent return, if we're not getting any return, give these young guys minutes. Kobe White better not be traded either, Chicago Bulls. That will end my fandom for real with the Bulls. If Kobe White, one of our best players, that's the guy we need to build around. He's already second in franchise history with 5+ 3-pointers in a game. So Io, I really want to see him get more minutes and see him be in a more pivotal role. He's a starter right now, but I want to see the ball in his hands more. Josh Giddey, I'd be okay with trading him. The only players that are untouchables, and Untouchable has a new meeting with Luka getting traded, but only untouchable players for me, Matas Buzelis, Kobe White, Io. Those three, yeah, I'm holding on to him. Patrick Williams, he can go. If he stays, he's still a young player, whatever. Josh Giddey, I would want him out the building because we traded Alex Caruso, got no first round picks for that. And Josh Giddey really hasn't done anything elite. He hasn't, I'm not loving what I see from him. It's more meh performances. He has a couple of 20-point triple-doubles, whatever, but it's not consistent, and he's a defensive liability. So, and we'd be better out there with just Lonzo running the point. So I wouldn't mind trading Giddey. The Spurs wanted him. They offered us something. There was some talks there. We didn't take that. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why we're holding on to our assets way too long. We're playing the waiting game, and when we do trade him and we make a move, we get 0 first-round picks for any of our good players. Doesn't make sense. Even when we do the rebuild, even when we're getting rid of players, we don't even do that right. So it's unfortunate. But for the Sacramento Kings, this doesn't move me. They're trying to be the Chicago Bulls. We've seen for 4 seasons, the Bulls didn't do anything with DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They even have their own Vooch with Sabonis, and Sabonis is a better player than Vooch, better facilitator, better playmaker. I think he's a better defender too. So there's an upgrade with that. But even Malik Monk is kind of like Kobe White. So the Kings, they're trying to stay in mediocrity as well, trying to be a playing team every year. I don't think Zach LaVine elevates them, doesn't make them a contender. And I don't know who's going to play point guard for them. Malik Monk, is he going to be your starter at point guard? DeMar DeRozan, is he going to run the point guard? Is he going to run the point like he did a little bit in Chicago with Lonzo Ball getting banged up and getting hurt for that season? Is that what's going to happen? I do like the potential dribble handoffs with Zach LaVine and Sabonis. I think Zach LaVine is going to get a lot more open looks with an elite passer, elite big man that could pass like Sabonis. So it's gonna look creative with that. But defensively, this team is still really bad defensively. So I don't think Zach LaVine improves that. I think he makes it worse because he's not the best defender. But they'll have some fun nights, some really streaky nights where their offense is just unstoppable. But out the West, they're not competing with any of those teams. So it just doesn't make sense getting Zach LaVine. I know Zach LaVine and Sacramento really wanted Zach LaVine 7 years ago. He signed an offer sheet. The Bulls matched it. And he's been in talks to go to Sacramento for a while. It's been a big rumor. But this move doesn't make sense because next season they could very much blow it up. And they didn't get any young players in the deal from the Spurs. Doesn't make any sense why you didn't want a Jeremy Shohan or you didn't want a Devin Vassell or Keldon Johnson. Any of those guys would have been good. And now Keegan Murray, one of your best young players, is the 4th best option on this team. He's taking a back seat now, for real. So I don't think Sacramento got better. I don't think the situation for them is getting better. I think they really got the worst deal possible. I think they really got one of the worst returns they could have gotten for Fox. This move seemed a little rushed. Even the first round picks you got, like I broke down when I was talking about the Spurs, these aren't even high quality first round picks. These aren't first round picks that are genuine first round picks that you feel excited about. So it seems like they're moving backwards. It seems like they're trying to stay in the middle, keep fans happy, but within that process, you will lose fans. Trying to keep fans happy with a team that's average, that's going to always be competing for the play-in, always going to have a chance to barely get into the playoffs, but you're always going to miss that opportunity to take one of the best players in the draft and have a top 5 pick. So it's no man's land. Bad position for the Kings to be in. The Kings lost this deal and the Bulls lost this deal. So the Spurs really took care of business and fleeced both of these teams, both of these poorly ran organizations. But this next year, I think this will be the best division in football.